Welcome to the Autosportradio.com 2023 show. This is our first program, and we are now coming to you from the Green Street Pub and Eatery on Green Street in Brownsburg. Tonight's show is presented by the Indy Dental Group. Indy 500 veteran Dr. Jack Miller and his wife Dr. Liz Lewis have probably the highest rated dental practice in the area. If you need dental help or you think you need your teeth cleaned or checked, do yourself a favor. Call, make an appointment. The number is 317-846-6125. That's the Indy Dental Group. We're also presented by VP Insurance at 5004 West 16th Street in Speedway. Whatever kind of help you need for insurance, VP can help you. Give them a call. Tell them what you need, and they'll help you out. The number is 317-248-0070. We're also presented by SVRA. Check out svra.com. They are the owners of the Trans Am Series, and they have the F3 and the F4 Series, it's being run by Scott Goodyear. SVRA is spectacular, doing a phenomenal job, and I highly recommend you look up their website, svra.com, and subscribe to the Speed Tour magazine. It's a first-class magazine. You find out everything they're doing, even when you go to an event, places to eat. So check it out, and I tell you right now, you'll be happy you did. Here we are for our first live interview from Green Street Pub and Eatery in Brownsburg, and I corralled my first guest. I had to threaten him because I said, you changed the name of the series and I'm confused. He is a former USAC champion in sprint cars. He's a Silver Crown champion as well. He was the executive with United States Auto Club when he was hailed to come in and take over the duties of the director of competition for what was the Indy Lights, is now Lights NXT. Don't know why. But he's agreed to come here and chat. And incidentally, the NXT is now sponsored by Firestone. So my guest is Levi Jones.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It's great to be here, back live on the show, and here we are, almost ready for 2023.
Was it hard for you to get out of a car? I mean, not physically get out when you said that's it, stop.
Yeah, a few times it was hard to get out, right? No, I've been asked that question a lot. I didn't have anything else left to prove to myself in a car. Fortunate to be able to do it professionally, make a living doing it, win races, win championships, drive for a wonderful team and car owner. So that had ran its course, and I proved everything I needed to myself. Life goes on. So just life experiences to do what I did when I stopped racing. I think it's put me in the position and to experience things that I did from the time I stopped driving until now, really, to take on new tasks and be a part of the racing community. We talk about that a lot. The racing community, it takes everyone, right? There's only 33 drivers that start the Indy 500, but there's thousands of people that make it all work, and opportunities and positions in our industry.
Well, you got out of the car and you were an executive with the United States Auto Club, where you drove for the majority of your career. How did you end up getting to be the director of competition for USAC?
Yeah, I did. I think my first USAC sprint car race was in 1998. So, that my career in USAC, right? The fans and people saw me grow up from a high school kid to a USAC champion. That whole 15, 16, 17 years. See a lot of things that worked, a lot of things that didn't work, and everywhere in between in my career. So to have the relationship with the promoters, the tracks, the drivers, knowledgeable of the cars, just kind of being able to do things in every aspect of that sport, how it relates to the race teams, the fans, the guys that promote the races to make it all work. So just all that experience over the course of time, kind of just thrown into the position, take it and make it work. We happy that we grew those things at USAC, and they're in a good spot. Their schedules look great this year. A lot of good things going on still. And I feel like it was in a better spot. I left when I got there, and great people there taking that on, and I've been at INDYCAR for a year. The things I've learned stuff every day. Excited to go to work. I get to go to work, be a part of a new thing with INDYCAR's development series, being back in-house there and work with all the great people at INDYCAR. It's been really fun.
Now, I noticed you came in, you have 2 young people here. Are you getting them golf clubs, or you got go-karts?
They do have golf clubs. They they still like to play baseball and basketball and football more, but they do have golf clubs. So
there you go. You don't have go-karts in the garage. How different is it, having been a director of competition at USAC and now into the INDYCAR series, because you got what amounts to across the street, the biggest single-day sporting event in the world. So to be involved with that in the series that runs there, and I hope someday the Freedom 100 comes back. Because I got people that come into town just to see that early.
Right.
But they run the road course, and it's an interesting thing. But is it a big difference for you as the director of competition with
it
Lights?
really is a lot of the same things, right? It's the same thing but different. That was a lot of the questions I had when I first started, what the differences would be, but it's still the communication with teams and vendors and tracks and promoters to make it all work for all 3 of those aspects, and I enjoy that. I enjoy trying to keep it all together, and the circus going from town to town, and race day when the stands are full and people are excited, and ultimately everybody's shooting to win the race.
One of the things I like doing is bringing in, like yourself now, and the drivers from the NXT series. I forget what it's called. So
we'll get you up to speed, right? Yeah. So it's Indy Next by Firestone.
Yeah, Indy Next. Okay.
It's just, when you were in school, if you left the E out, you would have gotten in trouble. You got points off and lower grade. But now with the new name and branding opportunities and how we want to go to market with our partners in Firestone, it's to make sure that my kids' friends are interested in the racing. That maybe the same things that drew you to the cars and track just a few years ago when you were a kid are a little bit different now, right? So it's neat, right? We can talk. We all can say we knew the old name, connect, the connection over the last 20 plus years, it coming back in-house at INDYCAR, and just opportunities with different ways to go to market. We have Content Day Friday at the INDYCAR offices, so we'll have all the drivers there. The team has really cool things to do. How they're going to approach that. I think the drivers will be excited for that. One thing that I learned driving, right? You're trying to build your brand as a driver or your team, and it's hard to do that overnight. It just takes time. It takes all of you people seeing that driver do things not only once but doing it again and over and winning and kind of winning you over and building their brand, because ultimately their goal is to be in the Indy 500. 20 of the 33 drivers last year had experience in the developmental series, so if they can build their brand, you guys know who they are before they run the Indy 500, then that's part of the goal.
Well, that's why I was saying I like to bring you in and bring the drivers in, so people say, "Oh, I remember him. I saw him," and get to know. And I've got a couple of them in line to come in. It's now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Peacock started picking up the races near the end of the year. Are they going to cover them all?
All of them are on Peacock, right? So here, and then internationally with INDYCAR Live, right? We're all over the world, right? We have fans worldwide, so it's great. There are things in store to make the broadcast better and bigger and more inviting, so you want to watch those. And our races are really good, right? We make these year over year in INDYCAR and Indy Lights. Last year, passes during the race. We worked on some push to pass stuff, so constantly working on the product that's on track, because ultimately if it's a good race, people will watch. You don't have to make things up.
I want to stop for a minute. For those of you who may have not been here or don't know, this gentleman serving is the owner. Tom Weaver, and he allowed us to come in, and I want to thank him for that.
Thanks for coming. Glad to have you guys.
How many, now, up until recently, the last few years has been a struggle for the NXT series with participants, with cars. I understand that's starting to go away, and the starting field is getting bigger.
It is. It's new cars, new teams on the grid for this year. There's a lot of momentum. Connection to the INDYCAR teams being integrated in the paddock. Those two series together as INDYCAR is exciting, and to have 20 cars at St. Pete is something we're really looking forward to.
Well, that's great. And I know when Roger Bailey started it, I said, how long are you going to do this? He said, when I get 33 start the Freedom 100, I'll retire. Well, he didn't quite make it to that. But there is a gentleman whose son is involved in the sport who has taken it upon himself to have a number of cars under his wing. And who might that be?
There is. So, HMD with Henry Malukas, their team, they'll actually run 9 cars out of their shop. So that's big, right? It's
Wow.
We talk about that thing. There's positives to that. The other, they're building a new shop, growing. They're able to take the Force IndyCar under their banner, operate it with Ernie Francis Jr. as the driver and some of those key guys there. So you have Cape Motorsports with Nicholas and Dominic Cape moving up to our series with 2 cars is exciting. Bill Abel, his son Jacob, and their team, they're gonna have multiple cars and are really a strong supporter of our series and what we do. So it's looking like a great year. And then, Andretti has been a staple of the series with 4 cars, right? All 4 of their cars won races last year. So we actually have interest. We have drivers that are looking to be in the series. And so it's great to have more drivers than spots available. So we're, as it's grown, the whole world dealing with supply chain issues and keeping up with all that. It's talk to my friends in the short track world. They deal with the same stuff. We're just with the growing field, that presents a whole new challenge of making sure we have enough parts and pieces too.
And that's the same with IndyCar. They got the same problem, engine problems and so forth. So, and crews, that's a huge problem. A couple of years ago, when the things were slow, a lot of these mechanics went to work in IMSA or went to work in sports car. Now they could use them when they're not there. So it's hurting them a bit. I think that without question, and even those in Formula One have indicated that the program that leads up to the NXT Series, Lights Series, is probably the best in the world. It has developed drivers that once they leave, and strange thing, most of the drivers have told me when they've gotten the IndyCar that the NXT car is harder to drive. The IndyCar is a little easier, probably because it's got a little more downforce. It's a little easier to drive. But I have not asked one once, do you feel you were prepared? Oh yeah, absolutely. When we leave and move up, we're ready.
Yeah, I think the proof is in the drivers that have moved up. I mean, we have right, David Malukas and Kyle Kirkwood here, most recent. This year, going to have some guys that are moving up that raced last year and have tested and feel like they're ready to go, and the teams feel good with those guys. So. I think that presents a whole new problem, right? When there's only so many cars available on the grid and guys want to move up, we have to make sure we can keep replenishing that.
I'm sorry, Levi.
I've done something bad.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of noise from your jewelry.
My
Go on,
jewelry.
sorry, yeah.
I didn't know a ring made noise.
It's just how we
What do you
know.
see in the future for IndyCar lights or the NXT? Because from what I understand, some of these guys are driving into almost their 50s. They need to, it's time to retire. You've made your money. Go lay on the beach. 'Cause it seems like there's a lot of drivers that are capable, but
easier said than done, right? I mean, you spend your whole life getting there, and once you feel like you have a grasp on it, take advantage of those opportunities. Some, those guys being with good teams and good cars and having that opportunity to do it. And I think a lot of that, what you talk about, is a testament to IndyCar, the safety of the cars. You can look back, from the DW12 to where we're at now, right? Is it the same car? There's so many things that have been updated and changed. It's really been a progression of a new car a little bit all the time, and safety has been leading that.
A lot of people, I get emails from people, there was a wreck on Sunday and the car broke, it's not supposed to. Oh, yes, it is. That's the whole idea, is for it to absorb the impact and, of course, the safer barrier. When they built it and installed it at the Speedway, they said it was a soft wall. Well, I ran into it. When I got up off the track, I said, that ain't that soft. But in fact, the first guy to test it was Robbie McGee. I think between turn 2 and 3. But it has made a huge difference. It's a tremendous safety factor that Phil Casey and Tony George and the doctor out in Nebraska, I believe it was, that have built something that really makes it a lot safer to drive. These cars go fast.
For sure. We have the data to back that up.
Sure. Is there a problem with getting next cars?
We've sold new cars, right? We've added new cars. That projection of where we're at, we have another new tub at Delara now. So if when you're ready, there's one there. Get you fixed up. So just being able, with the commitment of all the teams and the cars that we have, we want to ensure that if something doesn't go as planned, that car and driver and team can be on the grid the following event as well.
Well, one of the problems IndyCar has is engines. Do you guys have that problem? If there was 3 more guys that said, we want to be in St. Pete, do you have the engines to do that?
Yeah, so in the series we work with Advanced Engine Research, Chris Dyson. They've been great. Every week, great communication. The level playing field, how they do it. Our Darren at IndyCar involved with how that all works and making sure that we're looking at it and keeping that fair, because it is supposed to be about the cars being equal, right? And it's between the engineer and the driver and the team getting it set up, and the driver going out and proving that he can do it over the next guy, not because he has this engine instead of that engine or these parts instead of that part. So that's been great. I think that was the biggest positive for me to take away from my first year, that how well the engine program did work.
Doesn't Steve Knapp, don't they rebuild the engines?
No, Advanced Engine Research does all of our series.
That shows you what I know. How difficult, what does it take to qualify to get to the Lights Series?
So there are so many junior levels, right, to get to that. It's a little bit, fragmented how you get there, the different avenues. So if you were wanting to drive, right, you would submit your driver resume, and our staff would go through that, go to a test, evaluate you. But I think you could do it.
Oh yeah. Only one problem. They got to get a big can of Vaseline so I can get in and out. I've lost some weight, but I don't know that'll help that much. It's interesting to me, and something that disturbs me, and a lot of people for that matter, but I'm disturbed anyway, is when NXT runs with IndyCar, they run it at 6 in the morning, and 5 hours later IndyCar runs. Are they going to try and put that a little closer so people don't have to go back to their car?
You have to remember, just because how it was, you can't always remember it that way, right?
That's what I'm asking.
So if you go back and look, we've worked hard. Joe Hodge at IndyCar works on those color box schedules every day, right, with the promoters, and we've really pushed for all of our stuff to lead right into an IndyCar practice, or lead right into IndyCar qualifying, lead right into the IndyCar race. We were able to do that mostly last year. Some of some of the schedule just had some stuff where it was a little bit of a gap, but we're consciously working on making sure that is part of it, because there's, like you say, that's when it needs to be, right? And then the teams working together and having partners and people there for both, and the drivers, right? I mean, they can run the race, and last year was great to see a number of those drivers in the IndyCar pit boxes during the IndyCar race.
When the NXT series, formerly Lights Series, one of the things that was tried to be pushed that if an IndyCar team need to be associated or have the cars. Now, obviously, Andretti does. Sam Schmidt used to. Juncos Racing has both. Is there any kind of a push from the executive suites that the IndyCar guys get involved, either with ownership or be involved with the NXT team?
Yeah, so they're all looking at it, right? We've added Carpenter and Ganassi to what they're doing. I've talked to about all of them. It's easy to say what we're going to do, right? They need to see how it works, why they should do it, right, to have the proof there. So we'll just continue to do that, do things the right way for the right amount of time, you get the right results.
Well, it seemed to me all you'd need to do is tell them to go over to the Juncos shop and just look at all the trophies they got. And now look at he wanted to run 2 cars. Full-time in IndyCar. I know he's got one. I don't know if he's got a second one yet, but it obviously works. And like you said, 30 of the 33 starters last year came up through the program. Mm-hmm. And some of them that have won the 500 have come through there.
Yeah, and I really think you touched on it earlier. People, right? There's more IndyCar teams. There's more IndyCars on the grid, so it takes more people to do it. Finding those people capable to do it. You don't want to take away from this program just to do this program. You have to, if you're going to do them, they both have to be successful to make it work.
Well, obviously, you can't be that busy. Generally, when I call your office, you answer the phone.
Try to.
And I think it's interesting where you come from and how you understand the sport, having been there, how you understand what drivers need and look for because you've been there. You know what they wanted, what it's like to win a championship. You've been there. So it seems to me it was a smart move by somebody in an executive suite somewhere to say, we got an idea for you.
Yeah, I don't miss the stress of racing for those championships when people get accused of being a points racer. Well, yeah, if that's what your goal is to win the championship, you have to pay attention to the points at some point. So that does get stressful at the end of the year, and it's fun to see that in our series, the racing for the championship and what it means to see the emotion and the passion and the desire that these drivers have. This is fun.
Well, it's kind of neat when they get interviewed after the race. It's not uncommon for a guy who finished second to say, I need the points of the championship. They see that and they understand it. And that's what you're there for. You want to win, you want to win the championship.
Right. And it is, right? They think about it right off the bat last year, right? I mean, Christian Rasmussen ran out of fuel, right, at St. Pete, leading there. And, that's the first thing on his mind. He didn't win. I lost those championship points. What am I going to do? And you do, as a driver, you still have to figure out a way to enjoy the journey too. You can't let it eat at you so much that you don't think about the job at hand. Easier said than done.
It seems to me, in watching some of the teams, that the sponsorship for the NXT series for the teams and drivers is picking up.
It is. That's encouraging. I've been able to have discussions with a lot of the team managers that there is interest. When we're talking about where we're going to put logos and required decals on the car because we want to make sure that there's enough real estate where they can put what they need to, that's encouraging.
Unless you're Jacob Abel and your father has got an office across, or a shop across from Juncos Racing, and they operate out of there, and he's somehow corralled John Bruner to run the team, and he started. Was it last year he first came in, or the year before last?
Yeah,
he's starting to get on the podium.
He ran fourth the last 2 events, so really came on strong, and it's encouraging to see that a driver and a family team like that can do it, right? You put the right people in places and work hard on your craft and put yourself in position, it can be done.
You know, what I also find interesting, what it takes to run successfully in IndyCar, pretty much you have to do the same thing on a
Appears
little
so, yeah.
in the Light
Appears so,
Series.
yeah. Yep, and it's, we've tried to look at that to make sure that path is the same way, but doesn't take quite as many people. Engineers and mechanics, you can do it on a smaller scale, but it's the same playbook, it looks like.
And there is a scholarship at the end of the year.
There is. We're bringing that back in. It's always when Dan Anderson ran the series, it was INDYCAR always provided a $500,000 scholarship to a team that the driver would take to it, and then Dan and his gang worked hard to provide more. We were able to take that money last year, the total amount of money, and spread it out for pay for each event, which they did not pay each event this year. So that's why the scholarship looked like it was less, but it was still, just over $1.2 million is spread out over the course of the year. And there's a balance there, right?
Yeah.
We have to figure out a way for the champion and the driver that does excel and win that to have an opportunity to get his foot in the door at the next level. But we also have to look at how we take care of the teams and spread that out so someone will look at the possibility of having a car in the series and be able to keep doing it sustainable.
One last question. When's the Freedom 100 going to come back, if ever?
I don't know. I mean, that was definitely a race that later in my career in USAC and running short track stuff, that was something that kind of piqued my interest, and obviously racing with Brian Clausen for the National Driver Championship at USAC to do it. It was exciting, right? And one that I sure as heck thought I'd have a better chance at that than going to St. Pete and trying to beat those guys going right and left. But it is about getting oval experience. We have two series tests in St. Louis and Iowa, and then we race at St. Louis and Iowa. So getting that experience for the ovals is key. We know that there's only one race on that oval in Speedway right now.
I think that's Mr. Penske's intention. He wants only one race on that for IndyCars because everybody else is now on the road course.
Right. We had some exciting weekend on the road course last year for us, right? The Mother Nature played into it and everything else.
But you got to admit the last 3 or 4 or 5 of the Freedom 100s. I mean, Peter Dempsey won it in 4th place out of turn 4, and he won the race by that much.
Yeah.
There were some really exciting races, and I said the people that would come in early just to be able to see that, but now they come in, all they do is drink beer. It's disgusting.
My youngest sent me that video on TikTok only a couple weeks ago that finished. So.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. Well, I wish you well. I think what's going on and what you're doing is building the series. Obviously, if you're anticipating 20 cars at St. Pete, that's a big jump from the last couple of years where it's been struggling around 11, 12. So it's good to see. It's a great series, and it's a good stepping stone to get to IndyCar.
Yeah, it is. It's encouraging. We know there's so many things going on in the world right now. Racing makes it all a little bit better for us. So fortunate to get to do it for my livelihood and try to keep it going. And I think someone asked me right when I started, how many cars do you want, right? I said, well, I'm just a short track guy, so you have to have 22 cars in the feature, right? So we're working on that. Like I said, it looks to be a promising year, and hope to see all of you at one of the events and say hi and definitely look at the drivers we have in the series. There's some great personalities, awesome race car drivers, and good people.
Well, I understand from the 400,000 emails I've gotten about Iowa, there'll be a lot of cowboys there. Holy Toledo, they got some great acts. none of them I ever heard of. But, boy, I saw the ticket price. So, well, there's people here with money, so they get to go. I'm cheap. I tried to use my green stamps, but they didn't take them. Are you waving at something?
I just have a question. Are you gonna have pit stops this year?
No pit stops. We, looking at the races and the fuel capacity, try to make the races as long as we can. We've had a couple tire tests with Firestone. We're excited about the tires and how they will wear and what that should do to the racing. Pit stops are cool, right? Really cool, but it adds a lot of money to a yearly budget. So we will not be having pit stops.
Huh. Thank you for taking the time and bringing your boys here. Are you going to stop? Well, the driving range isn't open, so never mind. Maybe stop and hit a few. Thanks for coming in. Good luck for 23, and we'll look forward to calling you again.
You bet. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Levi Jones. My next guest, go ahead.
Okay.
You can take them. They've eaten, so they're ready to
Probably
go.
already drank all the beer.
I have a gentleman coming up here that is a very interesting story. As you may have heard over the years, as a youth, which was getting to be a farther down in the past than it used to be,
For sure.
he used to mock races into a cassette recorder and practice. Well, lo and behold, it worked. He ended up in the broadcast industry. He worked at in Terre Haute on racing and sports, and eventually, through being a pain, got hired by the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Radio Network as a pit reporter. Then they elevated him to in the grandstands, and fortunately I got invited because between the two of us we had three eyes, and we could call a race and he'd watch what was going on and I'd watch in the back, see who did what. And because of the tutelage that I provided him, he is now world known. The voice of the 500, please welcome Mr. Mark Jaynes.
Thank you, Don.
I have to tell you, as she has told you, on Sunday we were in the living room talking, and I had the Cowboys game on television in the back room. And Sharon looked at me and said, "Is Mark on that broadcast?" I said, "Mark who?" "Mark Jaynes." "Not that I'm aware of." "Why? It sounds just like him." I said, "Oh, he probably the graduate from Monrovia High School and was in one of his classes."
I do football for the IHSAA. I did a couple of state championship games back in November, but no, that wasn't me. But I'm flattered that she thinks that I was network caliber broadcast for the NFL. That's high praise for sure.
You broadcast a lot of sports. You haven't gotten to the was it Westminster Dog Show yet?